Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintala, Alistair Main, Billy Hivolt, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Owen Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik 86, Jeranism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Renee, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, The Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock App, theflatearthchannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Herkins, and Windrider. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon.
Not much. I thought you would have something to say about what's going on in chat.
I think we need to find a special place for the trolls. That way they don't disrupt the chat.
Well, if I remove the global QE role, they can't post in live stream. They can post elsewhere, I think. Like I remember when I tested it on you to see if it'd prevent you from doing the emojis. Something like that.
It didn't.
Yeah, you can still use emojis, but you can't post, right?
Oh, I don't know. You got it. You.
Well, I'll try it right now. I'll give you that role just to see if it's still like that.
Let me know when.
Yeah, right now. Try posting. Does it let you?
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah. But you can see all the other chat rooms and you can post in the other places, right? Or does it
I don't have
remove
any
posting
permission
permission there too?
to post Bible.
You can post in there?
No, I don't have. I think that role gives doesn't
For
allow
all the chats
permission
then?
to post in any.
Okay. But you can still see the chats, right? Yeah, you can see
I
what
can
people
see
are
the
typing.
chats, but I can't post nothing. I don't have permission.
Okay. Yeah, so... Okay.
What are you guys talking about?
Oh, it's just Discord and how some of the roles in Discord work. Why are you recording?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Oh. Well, it's not going to make sense to the audience.
That's why I asked.
Yeah. Just Discord and what the various roles do. Like if I remove a certain role, they can't post. You gotta have a certain role to be able to post.
A certain role?
Yeah, so I can you can restrict their access by like various roles. Like various roles have certain perks. Like flat earther role, global role. The default is the global role, but the global QE role allows the ballers to post.
Yeah, that bit I knew. If you join this Discord, you're automatically labelled a baller, which I think is pretty reasonable because it doesn't even matter if you are a flat earther. At some point, you're a baller. So, what difference does it make, right?
Yeah, so if you see like somebody just having a global role, like I'm not sure if they're a baller yet, so I haven't given them the permission yet, or they haven't asked for roles yet, so they might be relatively new if you just see them with that role. So usually when I see somebody with that role and you're live streaming, I'll be more skeptical of letting them off mute, right? Let's say that. I'll let you handle it, right? That way it's off my hands, right? It's in your hands. But if I'm familiar with somebody, I'm more likely to take them off mute, let's say.
Doesn't that live streaming just mean they're playing a game?
No. I mean, when you're live streaming,
Oh, I thought you
because
meant the
when
little
you're live
tab that.
streaming, it's a bit more risky to take people off mute. During the after show, it's not so big a deal because you're recording and you can always fix something if something goes wrong.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. If there's an absolute disaster in the after show, then it's not being published there and then, right? Obviously, so the tensions are much lower. But that said, because of that, the after show's more crass, and it's generally more. I don't know how to put it.
Less structured.
I tend not to edit all that stuff out. It just goes out as labelled uncut.
So righteous.
Rather
That was a good talk yesterday.
yeah, there was some good chit chat.
Yeah, I like it when it's like, good chit chat, no angry back and forth. I think Elijah. Okay, he's off mute now.
Good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon, or
Hi,
afternoon, morning
Flatzoid.
for me.
Or good morning. Is my mic on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you good?
Righteous.
Hello.
I'm glad we got that out of the way.
So did you break something this morning, Nathan?
Yeah, just a shot glass. You're looking at something and you're going, this shelf's got far too much stuff. Oh, shit! It was a bit like that.
I think you need more sleep.
Definitely. You can probably tell from my eyes when you see me on camera, I'm definitely suffering from sleep depravity. Depravity? Is that the right word? Probably not.
Hey, Renty.
Hey.
Hey, good morning.
Morning, 10th man.
QE wants your blood.
Hello, James.
Good morning, Flatzoid, Renty, all righteous.
Yeah, flats over.
Renty, good job yesterday on that interview.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, which one?
Well, we were finishing this show, meaning yesterday's version, and Chocolate said you got to listen to the last 15 minutes of Rumpus, Ranty, and Sleeping Warrior. So I jumped over there, tried to find it, and I found it. I mean, it was what an epic confession from Rumpus that the only alternative to the globe is we're in the Matrix, but he wouldn't at all entertain flat. It was great because all he said, well, we know the Earth is a sphere, so it can't be flat. So okay, so it's the Matrix. So there was someone's messing with us from the Matrix.
He in my opinion, he changed a lot of things. He's trying to change the past. Because, Nathan, do you remember Snell's Law? Or you know Snell's Law?
Yeah.
Right. Have you ever heard the rumpus quoting Snell's law?
I couldn't tell you. Maybe.
Well,
Refraction.
yeah,
What?
back when we were all going into their world, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago, it was a hot thing. Snell's law, this, that, and the other rumpus, Riley having back and forth. And then last night, or yesterday afternoon, he turned around and said, no, Snell's law, we don't apply that anymore, or whatever. And so I pulled him up on that and I said, can you clarify what you mean there? And he doubled down. He says, yeah, we don't use Snell's law. And Riley said, well, you used it before. He says, I have never, ever used Snell's law. You liar. You certainly have. So it's funny how they're changing over time, you know, trying to change the past. They never used Snell's law. They never used the inferior mirage as being Earth curve, etc., etc.
But he uses refraction.
So before I tell you what's coming your way, why didn't you just hold him to task on the Black Swan argument?
On what, sorry?
The Black Swan argument. The picture of the horizon 10 plus miles off in the distance.
Well, it was where the conversation was, you know, Tony was taking it in one direction and Rumpus was taking it in another. So the two of them were happy to go in whichever way they wanted to go. And I thought I'll let it flow in that direction.
That's
Okay.
why I started the show with giving Ranty some thumbs up, because I knew what you were going to say. I didn't know you were going to say it, but I knew what was coming.
It was interesting, his diagram with Fermat's principle, the one that he drew, which shows an observer looking at a lighthouse across a flat plane, is essentially identical, just using Fermat's principle, to the observation that Tony was bringing up. And I got him to concede that. It didn't need Earth curve, it didn't need refraction, it just needed Fermat's principle across a flat plane, and you would end up with an almost identical replica of what Anthony was trying to show with those platforms. He conceded that, which was, in my opinion, that was the biggest victory in everything, because essentially that was what we were trying to argue, that you just see it because it's there, and you have a little bit of waviness, you know, on those platforms where the arm is, and that's just down to Fermat's principle, and you don't need anything else.
Sure, but the argument is about the horizon, and he's led you on a. I'll just level with you. Huey wants both of your blood, so I just might as well tell you. I'm trying to pepper it a little bit, so you kind of know what's coming. But sod that, I'm just going to tell you.
Well, there was a lot of other things that were conceded in that presentation that we didn't need to go to the horizon.
Okay.
You know, the concession with Snell's law, the concession with Fermat's principle, and a flat plane would give you the same thing. You know, they were two major concessions from him. Because with him conceding that, then that put that horizon distance on a flat plane. The concession of him saying that those platforms lined up exactly the same as the lighthouse would do in Fermat's principle is, you know, leads you to the conclusion that the horizon was just in the correct place.
Any chance you can bring the picture up just so it's on screen while we're talking about it? Just might as well have
Which
it
one?
actually.
Which one?
The picture of the two cranes. I've forgotten what they're called.
Oil rigs.
Oil. You know what I mean. Oil rigs,
Yeah.
cranes. They've got cranes on them. Cranes was
Exactly.
accurate. Screw you.
Right, share screen. Okay, there we go.
Oh, who made this image? This is fantastic. I don't mean took it.
I adjusted the filters on it so that it highlighted the horizon better.
Nice. Well done, Ranty.
And the image that. Go ahead.
Don't you just love that mirage effect on the top there?
What, here?
Yeah.
Yeah, bit of Fermat's principle. And this is exactly what Rumpus was showing with his diagram, just Fermat's principle. He was obviously doing a side-on view, so a Muppet vision view of the lighthouse and the observer. And he had some wavy lines going towards the target. And slightly higher up, he had the wavy lines a bit closer together, showing a bit of distortion. Exactly what you're seeing here, bit of distortion. This area here, obviously, sort of eye levels-ish or lower down. The lines were further apart, denoting that there wasn't a lot of distortion going on in that area. And it was exactly the same. Honestly, it was exactly the same. What he showed for Fermat's principle was exactly the same as this. And in that case, when he agreed that and said that just on Fermat's principle on a flat plane, they're identical, well, what does that tell you? That tells you that this horizon is in the correct place just using Fermat's principle on a flat plane. Didn't need any bendy maths.
Yeah, but he gave no explanation for why this claim to be physical position is off in the distance.
No, well, Tony left, didn't he? We had him by the short and curlies.
Well, actually, Nathan, he did, in my opinion, a different way.
Okay.
At the end, if you listen to that part that Chocolate told me to listen to, you catch Rumpus in a situation that he puts himself in by saying, because here, let me see, I went back and listened to it twice because I knew I was going to talk about it today. This is what he said. 3 or 4 bullet points here. You don't understand science. So that came out of his mouth. Then he said, unusual conditions that don't reflect reality. Now, that word reality to him is going to come up real soon. It's not reflecting the something of the real world, geometry of the real world. It's not reflecting the geometry of the real world. So this picture that Ranty just had up cannot be the geometry of the real world. Obviously, why? Because it's flat, right? Then he said, it's not the sphericity of the earth, so it's got to be wrong. See, the begging the question has got him so down in the basement of sphericity that if it's not the sphericity of the earth, it's got to be wrong. So then, this is the one gem that came out of the whole thing. Well, we could be in the Matrix when someone is doing something strange to us. It could be a simulation. That's when Anthony said, well, what alternative is there? His alternative, because it can't be what you say it is, Ranty, because I know it's a sphere. So then the only alternative is we have to be in the Matrix, a simulation, and someone's like a glitch messing around with us. I mean, for that part, I don't care what Ranty and Sleeping Warrior did the 2 hours, 30 minutes before, because I didn't listen to that part. I only listened to that part, and that part killed Rumpus.
And see how you can extract that from that. I mean, in essence, he's explaining that you can't model this. You can't refract the physical obstruction. The light's bending around it to bring things back from beyond it, but the physical edge of a sphere can't be in the distance beyond where it's supposed to be. In other words, him saying, well, this isn't capable of modelling reality. Well, no, it's a photograph. The photograph is reality. It's the model that doesn't work, but he's flipped those on its head and said, well, no, reality doesn't work because it doesn't match. It's like, no, it doesn't have to match. It's a photograph. You only need a set of eyeballs to analyse it. There's no need to compare it to any models. That was the bone I had with him. Now, obviously, you took him down a different path, and every path leads to death for this argument. It doesn't matter which angle you attack, to be perfectly honest. But, obviously, the strongest part of the argument is the bit that QE's gunning for. And, I understand why. Because it's the bit that, up until now, they can always apply refraction. So the curve calculator ends in, they can just extend that absurdity as far as they want, and that's represented by the slider bar. Well, in this instance, that slider bar no longer works. You can't refract the physical obstruction. So that's the demolition of this. There is a full stop after that. There is no coming back with Fermat's principle. And that's the point. But I don't want him to be too harsh on you, because I think he himself, this is Quantum Eraser, recognises that there's plenty of people that don't understand the strength of this argument. The penny hasn't quite dropped yet. So I'm hoping that... Go on. I'm not
No, I
saying
was
you.
just coughing. Oh, sorry, I was coughing. Sorry.
That's all right. I thought you were going, not me. No, I wasn't saying you, but you were coughing. But yeah, there's plenty of people out there that haven't appreciated the strength of it. Now, I get that you and Anthony both understand the strength of it. I know that full well. But you're looking for other concessions on a tangent to this argument, and you're getting them. Well, kudos. But what about the original argument that's unaddressable? Now, 10th Man saying, well, you can interpret his words to say, this doesn't work in reality, when what he's saying is his model doesn't work with the picture. The picture's reality, not his model. He's got that the wrong way round. That's his reification. That's the essence of his religion, but he hasn't expressed it such. And the reason is because it hasn't been focused on, specifically on the demolition, the part of the argument that's unaddressable.
Yeah, well, we could have got to that. We could have got to that if Tony had stayed around, but literally he up skirt and ran when we had him on the ropes. You know, we had him conceding this, that, and the other. He was swearing, effing and jeffing. Started off all dead nice to the point where he was so flustered. He was, you're a twat this, you're a twat that, this, that, and the other, because we had him so by the short and curlies. And then Tony said, "Well, I've got to go." And I was like, "What? What? No!"
But anyway, I mean, it's good. But I just think that this is the thumbscrews tightening, and the more people appreciate why Rumpus is in such a position to start conceding things left and right and having to dance around what you consider to be a prior use of a principle that isn't necessarily applicable here. Well, not necessarily because your tangent made it applicable, but the argument itself, Fermat's principle does not apply. We're talking about a physical obstruction with their claim that things bend around that physical obstruction to reappear above or below the horizon, sinking, looming, what they call refraction. Now, their calculation of 7/6 and how they come to it, which is the dance you're doing with him, is an aside that doesn't leave him instantly dead. But you wanted all the concessions. That's why it went on so long. And like I say, I do applaud you. So when QE lays into you, which you will, I'll defend you to a certain degree.
Well, listen, the point was, Rumpus wanted explanation as to how this is possible on a flat Earth, and also he was trying to say that this is possible on a globe, and this bending of the crane arm here is the proof that there was refraction going on. Whereas our argument is that a slight deviation from a straight line is Fermat's principle, and his own diagram that he drew of looking at this lighthouse is an exact side-on view as how you would expect those light rays to travel on a flat plane and reach the camera, just like this.
I know all this. I know. You're doing it to me now. I'll just try once more, and then if it gets frustrating, then I'll just stop. So you're now telling me about the refraction not on the horizon. Now, the horizon, which is the issue here, the main issue, isn't capable of this effect. So what Rumpus needs to do is argue about the crane and how that has refraction on it when our argument is about the horizon. So you're justifying... Just let me get to the end. I give up. So the light in their model can only bend around the edge. The edge itself cannot. That's why he will not address it. And you're saying, yeah, but when we're bending the light around the edge, what edge? The one that's a mile off in the distance, 10 miles off in the distance. But that's being danced around, and he's led you on that dance. And you're now doing it with me and going, well, no, but I can explain the cranes. Who cares about the cranes? Their physical edge is 10 miles off in the distance.
Yeah, I did pull him on this. I did pull him on it. I said to him, how come the horizon is the distance? How come we've got crane one here, then we've got a more water, then we've got another crane, then we've got a horizon? I did actually pull him on this.
Look, I only listened to the last 15 minutes, so I can't say what I heard before, or of course didn't hear before. But I agree that they're dead with the horizon. I keep them on that. I see what Quantum Eraser shared on his show, and that's where I like to stay myself. But at the same time, I do think there was something that came out of this that now, next time Rumpus, should he even dare come on, we have something that he said. He is incapable of ever having the alternative be a flat earth, because it's got to be a matrix and a simulation now. And so that just shows you how deep this lie has penetrated him, to where, like, if you said to me, okay, if it's not flat, what's the alternative? I'm going to say, well, then it's probably round in a ball. I mean,
No.
I would never
Hold on,
say
I can spin that
it's a
too,
ma-
10th man. So, what? A matrix of what? A flat plane? All right. So,
Okay,
what's
good,
presenting
good.
itself in the pictures of a flat plane, it cannot be modelled spherically because it isn't. And he's saying it could only be a matrix. Well, in that matrix, it's a flat plane, mate. What do you want?
No, good. That's good. That's good. But you see, that is something right now that thing that happened yesterday that we can use against him. But the point is, these are the ballers who, whenever they see, he wanted to focus on the crane bending a little bit and not the horizon, and the argument is the horizon, so we all get that. But he wanted to go on the crane. So then, what do? They show all these other stupid, pictures and say, see, there it is. The boat just went over the curve, and the boat's only like 3 miles out. It's like, wait a minute, that's not happening. They are so hypocritical that they use these types of things when it's in their favor, optically, not reality. And then when it's optically in the flat Earth's favor, which matches reality, they don't want to use it. I mean, these are great days to be a flat earther.
Yeah, it's just a reversal of everything that's going on. He says it's the Matrix, but his model only exists in what Ranty's doing now, aside on orthographic view. His model's the Matrix, and his model's the bit that's not working. But because it doesn't work, he literally denies reality and says the reality is actually a matrix. A flat plane matrix, as presented. But nevertheless, he's more than willing to say that the picture's wrong, that's reality, and his matrix reality of modelling things is, because it's wrong, basically not possible of being wrong, and only capable of juxtaposing his model reality as the picture, so therefore the picture's the matrix. That's how his logic's working.
Perfect, Nathan. That's a good summary of it. That was good.
There was something I was discussing with Sleeping Warrior before, so it's literally in its infancy, but I want to run it past you guys just to see what you think. There's a consensus, I think, that light rays bend down, yeah, or light curves downwards, yeah, going through the medium.
What? No, they apply 7/6R that bends light around a sphere.
No, I'm not including R, Nathan. I'm including that light will travel naturally through the mediums downwards. It doesn't need an R value. Just that light can go down.
But it doesn't. That was demonstrated on yesterday's show with a video that was utilised from Soundly, where it shows that light will deviate from straight up and down. That was most of Anthony's point at the end of yesterday's live show.
Yeah, so I was discussing it with Tony today. So it's in its infancy. So don't, I'm not even claiming this is the truth right now. So I'm just putting it out there to see what you guys think. And I've coloured these. I'm suggesting this is a building in the distance, and the blue at the bottom here is the sea, and then the light blue above it is sort of like the atmosphere, where it's denser, and then we've got some lesser atmosphere up here. But if light travels down on a flat plane, and this is the green part here, and all this is going to be pulled down, the light's all going to be pulled down. What happens if the green gets pulled down before it reaches the observer over here? And what happens if this part, the grey part, the light gets pulled down before it gets to the observer? And finally, you can only see the yellow part of it, because although it's being pulled down, it's out of that atmosphere. I'll show you, because this is what I was showing to Tony before. If the green part's pulled down and you can't see it because it's not reached the observer, it will be down there. And then the grey part is pulled down, so you can't see it to there. So you can only see the yellow. Well, everything's going to be pulled down, isn't it?
Yeah,
and you're only going to see the yellow part of it.
Yeah, you're describing reasonably succinctly sinking,
yeah, but without on a flat plane, just by using
you're in Muppet vision. You're in Muppet vision, so I'm not going to say that looks like a flat plane to me. We side on to what you're the observer on the right, target's on the left, right?
Yeah, the one last thing I want to show you just before we go any further it really is this the advanced curve calculator. So I'm going to take off perspective, right? Go back to normal. So this is right. So let's do it in the globe model. This is the globe model, and you watch how that rises and falls behind the curve, right? Okay, so that's how it does on the globe model, right? But that only moves due to what? The atmosphere, the gradient, yeah? The gradient changes through the atmosphere.
No.
What happens?
No. It moves because you move a slider in the matrix.
Okay.
And I'm not even joking. No, this
Okay,
is nothing.
but if-
This is a model. You've declared it. Now you're saying that this is because of the atmospheric. No, there's nothing about atmosphere on this picture. This is just the matrix. You're just moving a slider in the matrix. This isn't
Just let me
reality.
finish
Nothing in the
my
atmosphere is
point.
changing.
Just let me finish my point, which is if that light does bend down, right, and moves up and down, and this is always going to be changing, right? What happens when we put it on the FE model and we move it up and down? Well, there's none of that. There's no changing in this that we should expect to see if we believe in refraction. If there is refraction going on, right, of the light, which is pulling the light down mostly, why is that not changing? That should be going through the ground, right?
Doesn't change because it's a model.
Exactly. And it's a fake model because that isn't representing reality. And they always say that you should always see it. But yet when you put it on the globe side allows you to lift things up and pull it down due to refraction, but it doesn't do it on the flat model, yeah? But it should do. And that would explain why parts of the bottom, things disappear from the bottom up. Because the light never gets to the observer. It will be sunk down into the ocean before it gets to the observer.
And here's where the black swan argument is a death knell for them. It shouldn't even be there.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Ranty Flat Earth, Righteous Force, Sleeping Warrior, who else we got? Chocolate Saying, Paul Hall, 10th Man. Did I miss anybody? Hopefully not. Chocolate Saying.
Me, let's say.
Okay, everybody?
That's right.
How do?
Good
Flatzoid.
Good morning, everyone.
Flatzoid. Hello, Flatzoid.
Must be my mic.
Hi, Slurpee Warrior.
Shut up, Ranty.
You timed out Ranty. He's even one of my channel members in the Premier stream today.
Do you have any evidence of that assertion, Nathan?
I watched you do it.
Oh. Okay.
That's-
I'm sorry, Ranty. I was only being naughty.
Don't abuse the pay in public.
I couldn't help it. He said, here's the wanker or something like that. And I was like, right then, you little bastard.
Oh, no, you read it wrong. I said, who's this wanker? Because I was listening back to the premiere that Nathan did, and I'm thinking, who's this guy that Nathan's talking to? So I said, who's this wanker?
M. Stone. Right. So shout out to Skeezer NZ, who's my latest channel member, who's joined as a penguin. So thank you very much. I'll also do a couple of random shout outs to a few of the penguins. So just give me 10 seconds while I just
I'm a
bring up the
penguin.
penguins. Yeah, I know you're a penguin.
penguin.
Shout out to Ranty Flat Earth, who's a penguin. But I'll do a couple of others. So shout out to Joseph369, who's also a penguin. Shout out to Dank, who's a penguin. Shout out to Neo the One, who's a penguin. Henrik, he's also one of my Patreons, I believe. And Awesome Austin. So big shout out to all of those penguins. Right, should we do some house?
Hang on, wait a minute. What's Sleeping Warrior?
I'm the boss.
He's a moderator.
What's this penguin thing? Explain this penguin thing.
Right, the
It
lowest
feels like I've
member.
gone back 12 months and I'm in IPS.
Yeah, I picked it because of its relevance. So yes, it was absolutely because IPS has penguins. So the lowest member level that they would allow was $2, and I'm like, right, well, what can I call that? I'm like, what's something that's flat Earth and is associated with lots of something? Well, I thought penguins. Oh, that's all right. I'm going to go with animals. I like animals because in Benjamin he used bear, and I thought, yeah, that's good. Bear, yeah, animals. Why not? You've got to think of a list of something. So I thought, well, what's got a slight amount of relevance to what we talk about? Well, you've got penguins because of IPS. You've got hyenas. I don't think that needs any explanation. Lion. I was going to call it Aslan, but I just wanted to keep it a bit more simple. I think that needs no explanation. If it does, I'll do it now. Aslan needs any explanation? Lion? No?
No. Narnia.
Yeah, Narnia. Unicorn. And then the highest level, I really struggle with. I'm like, what can I have that's like slightly comical but related? And I thought Yoda, because I was doing a Star Wars Lego that I got for Christmas. So I was like, Yoda, yeah. Why not? Why not have the top level be Yoda? It's slightly absurd. So there we go. So that's all the membership levels, basically.
Is Yoda an animal?
Go ahead. Yeah, you're right. We never went to the moon.
I asked, is Yoda an animal?
Well, precisely. That's another thing another reason why I picked it. I'm like, could you even classify that as an animal? Well, yeah, why not?
I know why you said that.
So if we treat Yoda as an animal and we talk about Yoda as an animal, and the more we talk about animals and if we argue about a particular characteristic about Yoda's animal status, does it make him an animal?
It's a classification joke.
And it's also a reification fallacy, isn't it?
Yeah.
The more you talk about something, the more real it becomes. A bit like gravity.
Right on. I could classify Yoda as an animal.
Yeah.
In fact, biologically speaking, he's got, I think it's 14% dandelion. Did you know that?
Again, somebody was rumbling the mic.
Hey, Arwin.
Hello.
Oh, no surprises there. Hello, Arwin. What did you say,
back
Nathan,
to penguins.
14%?
On the sort of what I'll give you for memberships, the one that I didn't say I'd shout out live was penguins, but I thought, well, just because there's obviously going to be a lot more of them, but I thought once in a while just do like random shout outs for penguins. So look, you might get shouted out as a penguin, but the other memberships levels, I've said, yeah, maybe once a week I'll do a full shout out of all those. But there we go. That's the skinny on memberships. Click the join button if you're on a PC, and I think Android's got a join button, and there's a link in the info box if you can't see a join button. Right, should we do some housekeeping?
Yes.
No. You haven't introduced the others.
Discord. Hello, Discord.
Oh, yes.
Nobody ever speaks in Discord anyway. It's like tumbleweed when it comes to this part of the show.
There you go. Horizontal level literalist said hello.
Good morning.
SX said hello. What do you want? They're nice people.
Okay.
You're good people, Discord, aren't you?
Okay, so let's get through housekeeping, Nathan.
Yeah.
Okay. Any evidence of a physical globe edge capable of geometric measurement?
No.
But what do the boats go over?
They don't. They just dissolve to nothing because it's like looking down the length of the swimming pool, Nathan. They just gradually dissolve to nothing and become all messy and obscured, caused by atmospheric conditions that they call refraction and bend the earth, and it's complete nonsense.
Hold on. Not just that.
Hold on. Go on, Arwen.
Part of the boat is also going to be basically hidden, concealed because of the diffraction, causing things to reflect at some point because you're looking at a very tight angle over a very flat surface. So it's going to hide itself in the concealment zone.
Hold on, I'm going to boil that down. You've conflated two things. So you're talking about the diffraction limit, that's an angular limitation, and the angle of incidence creating a reflection. Well, those are two different things, but yes, I know what you're saying.
No, I'm talking about diffraction, not diffraction limit of cameras.
I think he's just trying to put it as it's all optical.
No, it's a specific effect. It's a specific optical effect that happens, both light and even physical matter, okay, when it is being displaced. When it's moving past a flat surface, it's going to deflect down at some point.
Is that proof of a physical globe edge?
No, it's actually completely the contrast. It completely explains the visual and why it's not. It's just moving in a concealment zone that is the natural side effect of the optical slant, which is caused, or the horizon, by the diffraction. Diffraction is the thing that causes it.
Did you know your eyes work with diffraction, with refraction?
Right. With diffraction, I mean the light deviating effect, like a nudge.
Okay, I'm going to do a couple of shout outs. So, shout out to Passaway Toe, who says, shout out Marcus Gurnier. Keep educating ballers. Thank you very much for the super chat. Also, Alexander, happy Friday, 4 more hours. Well, I do 2 shows on a Friday, so there's going to be 4 hours. So, subscribe to the second channel if you're not already. There's the second.
A bit like we're on an American chat show, Nathan, with adverts every 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a lot of plugs at the beginning of this show. Right, yeah, okay. Smash the super chat as well, by the way. Thank you very much, Alexander. Happy Friday to you too.
Okay.
Any evidence?
Next question. Thanks for rumpusing that one, Arwin.
Any evidence of Earth curvature?
Any
any evidence? Any evidence of Earth curve? Any evidence of Earth curve?
No, not from platform. Not from platform habitat.
No, I think the previous question demolished this one.
Did anybody catch 10th answer?
Hey, models are curved.
I'll match 10's answer with not. He said not from platform habitat. I'll say not from the beach where platform habitat was filmed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
No
just as
curvature from
catchy.
there.
Well done, Chocolate. That was so catchy.
Thank you.
I do have what's the word? A comeback based on something that happened on Ranty's Flat Earth channel last night with the rumpus. When we finished housekeeping, come back to me, Nathan. I just want to do a little 2-minute presentation demonstrating that rumpus is A, wrong, B, lying, and C, misleading people. So come back to me at the end of housekeeping.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
So no Earth curve. What about axial rotation?
Axial? What's an axial rotation if of the Earth-based kind? We need a turning planet for there to be an axis, right?
Which would require curvature and that physical edge we were talking about. So
And some movement.
Like a spinning
You
top.
also need a foundation to figure out the 23.5.
Yep. And if it's constantly wandering, how do they know it's wandering? What are they proving the wandering of the axial tilt based on? Where's the frame of reference for it? It's all nonsense.
That wasn't rhetorical. Anybody want to answer Sleeping Warrior's question?
Well, they're never going to answer it because no one knows. There is no frame of reference to measure this rotating, tilting thing.
Anybody?
Frames of reference.
Coriolis,
How about the
Owen.
physical side effects? You know?
No. Any scientific
No.
evidence of gravity?
No.
How can they give scientific evidence for an effect?
That's not my problem.
Gravity's not force.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope.
Well, it's not a physical force.
Gravity.
Oh, that was an interesting one.
Establish scientific evidence first. You need to know what it is.
Did you hear Fight the
Just
Flat
1
Earth?
second. Hold on. Go ahead, Elijah.
Gravity is so last year.
Yeah.
Gravity say
dead and buried.
2019.
Gravity's dead and buried. Did you hear Fight the Flat Earth on this point on gravity recently? He wants to debate me on gas pressure in a vacuum, and I'm like, I've got no interest in talking to you because of the way you are with people. But I said I'd consider it if he put out a video admitting that gravity was not a force. And when he put out his video, it's like when the Daily Mirror on the front page say Prince Charles is whatever, and then at the end of page 17 they have to issue an apology, and they do it in little 2 lines at the bottom. He did the same kind of thing with me because he says, "Oh, so Sleeping Warrior wants me to admit that gravity is not a force. So here we go, Sleeping Warrior, just for you. Gravity is not a physical force." And I'm like, why have you put the word physical in it? I'm sure there's a trap in there somewhere. I'm curious to know why he didn't say just gravity is not a force.
So if it's not a physical force, what kind of force is it then?
I don't know. Apparent force, maybe? Otherwise known as an effect?
It is. So it is. Right.
I don't know. He's just an interesting bloke fighting a flat earth. He won't. He's like Rumpus. He won't ever admit that he's wrong about anything ever.
I don't think that makes him interesting though, but
he's not
Listen,
even science. Is he?
until you're cool enough to teach your kids how to find their location on Earth with nothing but a swinging pendulum, you will never be that cool.
Oh my god!
Was that an axial rotation claim?
Is that the evidence for axial rotation? Fight the Flat Earth can teach his children how to find their location on Earth with a pendulum. Is that the evidence?
I'd love to hear it. Yes, please.
How does that work?
That's
gonna do
that's
a
not
video.
evidence for
How does it even
anything.
work?
Hold on. Go ahead, horizontal level literalist.
I'd like to see him prove
hold
where
on,
he is on the
Sleeping
earth
Warrior.
with a pendulum test.
Oh yes, yes. Bev
oh,
is the
hold on,
one who
Chocolate.
he tells things
Hello?
like this too. So
Hello?
he's the perfect one.
It's that
Hello?
his tweet is in the live stream if you're looking at it. He's
Thanks, Bev.
taught his kids how to calculate their position on Earth exactly using nothing but a swinging pendulum. He's a genius. He's not told anybody else how to do this yet, but
I'd like to see.
he's
Well,
on
how
it.
do you calculate it? By swinging a pendulum?
I'd like to see him calculate it or prove his position on Earth with a pendulum. That'd be a really good video, Fight the Flat Earth. It's called Science, that you think is science. Let's see that.
Would you do it if you were swinging?
He's told me he's waiting on the council to give him permission to use a block of flats to do it.
Hold on, panels,
he's
guys.
blocked me now,
Guys, can you not hear him talking? Go ahead,
Yeah.
horizontal level literalist.
Yeah, he's told me he's waiting on the council to do this.
Oh, really?
Experiment, yeah. It's coming according to him. He is going to do this, yeah. But so I've told him the stipulations are it has to be easy enough to teach a child to do without a calculator and just a pendulum. And he has to position themselves exactly, which is a phenomenal task. Yeah. He's claimed he can do it.
So we don't know
Anyway, it's never
precisely
gonna
how it's done yet. Fine. So
No,
yet,
yeah, waiting for the news on it.
fine. To be announced. Okay, so we'll wait with bated breath for this. Maybe it's an axial rotation claim. Who knows? We'll see. Go ahead. Was it Sleeping Warrior?
Are we done with housekeeping?
Not all. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No. Shout outs to Danny Faulkner, wrote a book about debunking flat Earth claims. I mean, how many people in flat Earth really make claims? There's not that many of us, but he managed to write a book debunking the claims of the flat Earth. And when it comes to the section about gravity, he didn't seem to think it was necessary to mention the current position in science of Einstein. He starts talking about debunking flat Earth as Newtonian physics. What a moron.
Shout out,
No
Retract.
hypothesis, no science.
Newtonian physics. No hypothesis claim, so how does that debunk anything?
Just shows his level of research. It's like he couldn't be more newbie in the topic, and he's written a bloody book.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
What is the sun?
Light in
I
the
don't
sky.
know. I don't know. Sorry. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
I don't think there is a distance to the sun beyond appearances.
What about the R value? Earth radius.
The only time R value comes into the topic is when they need to argue about refraction, because it's in a little calculator, their adjustment thing that makes a curvy Earth look flat. They need it for then. Other than that, it doesn't come into the conversation much at all.
About a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of said presupposed spherical Earth.
The only one that I'm aware of that has evidence for that, Nathan, is Paul Voigt, back from about debate number 120-ish, something like that. And he says that we're too stupid to be able to understand it, so he won't give it us.
To be announced also. Okay. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
I believe Fight the Flat Earth has got some claim on this. I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to paraphrase it and make a mess of it. But I believe Fight the Flat Earth has got some claims for this. It'd be interesting to see if he could actually present evidence of this so-called claim that he has. So look forward to that one, Fight the Flat Earth. Again, that's not going to be coming in. It's a work in progress.
That concludes housekeeping. I've got you presented, Sleeping Warrior.
Woohoo! Okay, so over on Ranty Flat Earth channel last night, Rumpus and I, we had a conversation or a disagreement where I allowed Rumpus to beg the question with regards to the oil platforms that we're currently talking about. And our question is simple. How is the horizon behind the platform when it should be just 1.2 miles from the observer and clearly in the foreground? And nobody seems to want to answer it. They all give answers, but they don't want to answer it directly. And Rumpus came up with an answer last night, and it was basically refraction. Now, I knew that they were going to argue it, but we also know the limitations for refraction. And my position was that there's no evidence to support the assertion that light is bending the way that he claims it is because of the effect known as non-standard refraction. So I managed to get him pinned down within the argument of non-standard refraction. And he was arguing that light curves in the atmosphere. And light doesn't curve in the atmosphere. Light follows Fermat's principle on the trajectory of light, which varies from point to point, but deviates from a straight line. Now, we all know what straight means, and we all know what curve means. But Rumpus thinks that curve means straight. He thinks that curve means deviates from straight. But when it's point to point to point, deviating from straight, that can't be a curve. Rumpus wouldn't ever concede it. And he come up with this a visualization of I don't know exactly which one it was, but he was basically showing water being used and sugar water bending a laser beam that was being fired through it. I'm just doing it with salt because I was just doing a bit more research. But the point was, I said to Rumpus live, I said the reason why the light is curving is because what is it? Fructose, sugar, and sucrose, or what? I can't remember the three types of sugar, but it doesn't matter. The three sugars are something called dextrorotatory. Now, the fructose, sucrose, and something else, the three sugars, whatever they are, they've got a rotation element to them. And Rumpus argued incorrectly that all it did was change the polarization of the light, and that is true. It does change the polarization of light. But Rumpus argued that it didn't bend the light. So I'm going to do a couple of frames now where I'm aware of the copyright claim, Nathan, so don't worry. But the three sugars are dextrorotatory to different degrees. One of them is 52.7 degrees positive. The other one is 66.5 degrees positive rotation. But the third one is minus 92 negative rotation. And this means that two of them are going to behave in a similar way. And the third one is going to do the opposite. So he's got two vials on this occasion, but when he gets the three of them and he puts this guy puts all three sugar solutions and he lights them up and he passes a torch behind them. Now, if Rumpus is correct, then all of these three things will not do anything different to each other because they will all behave in the same way. However, because it's dextrorotatory, not only does it align up the polarization, which he was correct about, it also bends light according to the rotation that they have. Rumpus denied this vehemently because it debunks the argument that lasers being shone through sugar solution bend because it's being shone through the molecule known as sugar. Rumpus wouldn't accept that. So what I'm going to show now is when this guy gets his light, he's got the three vials. Now, as he passes the torch from one side to the other, they should all do the same thing if it doesn't bend light differently because of the dextrorotatory effect. But unfortunately, it doesn't do that. And I'll have to play it a couple of times. It's only a few seconds. But you can see that the way that they behave, let me just get it to the relative point. Not Einstein relative point. There you go. You can see that as he's shining the torch through them, passing one way, then the other, they're all acting independently to each other. They're not the same. Now, if Rumpus was correct, they would all do the same thing at the same time because it's not bending the light, but it is bending the light. So the dextrorotation element, or the attribute known as dextrorotation of sugar and salt solutions, causes the light to bend. And that's the reason why he's able to manipulate the sugar solution to make it look as though the light will bend in a gradient. But it isn't the gradient that's causing it. And this is proof that it's the dextrorotation element of the sugar molecule itself that is not only changing the polarization of light, which he was correct about, it also bends the light differently to each other by virtue of its existence. So basically, it's a fraudulently cherry-picked piece of evidence to make people think that that light can bend through a gradient, but it's not being bent through a gradient that's causing its curve. It's dextrorotatory of the molecule known as fructose, sucrose, and whatever else they are. So anybody in future that presents you either sugar solution or salt solution and a laser shining through it, you just need to remember that it's dextrorotatory and it does bend the light. Rumpus is incorrect. They're deceiving you with saying that this is caused by the gradient, and it isn't. It's caused by the dextrorotation effect of the sugars. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Anthony, can I ask you a question?
It's the refraction index, basically, of the sugar.
No, it's the dextrorotation
One
aspect of
second.
the sugar, not the refraction index.
Paul, you're breaking up. I don't know if you can drop and rejoin.
How is that different to general refraction changes, like, going through glass?
Because sugar and salt are dextrorotatory, but the atmosphere, it doesn't have a dextrorotation element to it. Atmospheric light diffuses speculatively in all directions, whereas sugar is dextrorotatory, and it does change the polarity. He's right, but it also bends the light differently, and that's why the curve is there. It's got nothing to do with the gradient.
Hold on, just one second.
Well,
Owen.
refraction in air is never going to be as strong, of course, as any liquid solutions, because those are just proven to deflect a lot more. But what is so special about salt and sugar? Any solution will typically do that.
I just told you it's dextrorotatory, but the atmosphere is not.
Of course it isn't, because it's not water.
Arwin, just one sec.
Yeah, but
Paul,
water's not dextrorotatory.
My God. Paul, can I get a mic check?
Is that better?
Yes. Go
Yes.
ahead. You had a question you wanted to ask. Go ahead.
Is the air a liquid?
It's a fluid.
No, it's not a fluid.
Well, it's treated as a fluid.
No, it's not.
That's my question. Is air a liquid?
No, air is a gas.
Then his example is a false equivalency fallacy.
I know.
False equivalency.
It is that too. What they can argue that they're both fluids and therefore they're connected.
No, you can't. It's not a fluid.
No, I know. But all I wanted to do was demonstrate that dextrorotation of the sugar and the salt molecule causes light to bend, contrary to Rumpus's claim that I was talking shit. I'm not. It does. We can demonstrate it. And if we can demonstrate it, then my one's true. So what Rumpus now needs to do is find me some element of science or chemistry where it says that the dextrorotation of molecules, and then demonstrate it, does not bend light, because it does. I've just demonstrated it. Dextrorotation. That's
Where
the
did
key
you
word.
get that word from?
I don't know. It's a fantastic word, isn't it?
Well, it makes for a sweet argument.
You don't know where you got it from, but what?
Oh
it
no,
just popped into your head?
All right, I got that answer from FE Core many months ago.
Right.
And it's just a word I remember.
Okay. I'd like to know a little bit more about that, about the effect, how it was established.
Just Google the phrase dextrorotation in sugar, and you'll find all the information out there that you need to know.
Yeah, but
the thing is, remember the definition for PSYOP. The definition for PSYOP is where they selectively produce evidence that is supporting their particular view to influence your thought process. Now, if they're selectively and incorrectly showing you sugar solution that is dextrorotatory to give you the perception that a gradient will cause light to bend, and it's not, it's the dextrorotation of the molecule that is the classic definition for a PSYOP, because they selectively give you information to manipulate your thoughts and processes to make you think that a gradient causes bendy light, and it doesn't.
Do we live in a sugar solution?
No, that's why I was contrasting it from the atmosphere that's not dextrorotatory.
Okay, I see what this is. This is specifically about the light alteration, or rather the deflection when looking through liquids. So it was kind of that. So it doesn't really matter if it's sugar or salt or any kind of substance that dissolves in water. That's going to add on to the effect, because it's just general refraction. And yeah, it is in specific to liquids, though. That was my point. And of course, the air is never going to reach that level ever.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but
but-
what they would argue that over a 30-mile observation, that it compresses it and it effectively makes it look that way if you
I'd
use
like to
liquid.
see people dissolve sugar or salt in the air.
Yeah, but
And that's
can't-
why I'm making the point, so that everybody's aware that the sugar solution that they use to Mick West uses it to demonstrate bendy laser light is only bending not because it's a gradient, but because the attributes of the molecule, the sucrose molecule, is dextrorotatory. And anybody that says that it doesn't bend light, it only changes the polarization, hasn't seen it being demonstrated. It is demonstrated.
So Anthony,
can it also be density then?
Thanks. Was a good informative.
how much how much sugar solution was there from the 1 foot observer height looking at the platforms?
Of course, there was zero, but Rumpus is using that example to demonstrate that light follows a curved path in the atmosphere. It doesn't. It follows Fermat's principle on the trajectory of light, which deviates from straight at every single point along the path. It does not follow a curved path, and that's what he was trying to deceive people into thinking that light did, and it doesn't.
Well, they're the ones saying that every time we show a picture of a horizon that is flat, that's an optical effect. And then when we show them a picture of the horizon that is flat beyond what it's supposed to be based on their radius of their own sphere model, now that's an optical illusion.
Yeah.
See, they want it both ways, don't they? They're dead with the horizon being more than 1.22 miles. And so that's where we got to stick with the argument. But it was very exciting to hear and believe that the matrix is what caused the flatness to occur. someone messing with the matrix.
Spooky refraction.
Spooky refraction, yeah. Anything but the alternative, because you asked him, Anthony, you remember in the last part? Well, what's the alternative? What's another alternative? And he kept dancing. And he never would say, okay, one alternative could be that I'm right, you're right, and I'm wrong about the nature of the earth. He never got there.
Yeah, he wouldn't. He would rather argue that we might live in a simulation that accept that the equal and opposite interpretation is that there's no refraction and the Earth might actually not be a sphere after all. It might even be flat. He wouldn't say that. He would rather argue that it could be a simulation instead, and that just demonstrates how dishonest that is. The equal and opposing argument is that the Earth might not be curving the way that they say, and the refraction was very little.
And in that matrix, how would you describe the aspect of geometry specifically relating to the nature of our reality we see in these pictures?
Euclidean.
So flat. So although he said matrix, inside that matrix we're presented with flat reality, correct?
Yes.
But hold on, isn't the matrix anyway based on flat?
Well, he's showing you his models. He's showing you the matrix and saying the picture isn't real. The picture's the matrix. No, you retard. The picture's not the matrix. Your model that's broken and doesn't match the picture is the matrix, you moron. The globe is the matrix.
Weird that everything is always based on a flat plane and then changed to what needed to be.
Now, notice the similarity in what we just discussed Rumpus saying as to when the people who believe in evolution and no creator, when they had to give an answer to intelligence and DNA and all that, they say, okay, it's aliens, someone, but they can't say God. Just like the ballers can't say, okay, it could be flat. They just won't go there.
Flat inside the matrix, they believe that it is when the picture doesn't match their matrix. Anyway, shout out to Agent Dubsky. He says, this $5 is for hiding the Rumpus spam. Thanks and love your face, Nathan. I didn't hide anybody's spam, so if one of the moderators did, kudos to them, but thank you for the super chat, Agent Dubsky.
Yeah, let me just respond to the Rumpus in chat. He says, Sleeping Warrior, you stupid. That experiment in YouTube is a polarizing test. It does not change the path of light. I demonstrated that it did change the path of light, because if it didn't change the path of light, Rumpus, the three solutions would have done the same thing, but they didn't. Two of them went the same way, the other one went the opposite way. So if it wasn't changing the path of light, then why did they not do the same thing as per your interpretation of what you think I don't understand in the context of polarization? I'm demonstrating that you're wrong, Rumpus. Why don't you join and you can tell me how stupid I am and everybody will laugh at you because I can demonstrate that you're wrong, but you can't demonstrate that you're right.
Sleeping?
Did you?
Yeah, Rumpus. Yeah, Rumpus, come on the show.
just
I'd like
before
to
you
hear
do
about
that-
the Matrix a little bit more.
Do you remember this image from yesterday, Toby?
Could I offer?
Do I remember the what from yesterday?
Do you remember this image from yesterday?
Where he? Oh yes, Well, there was more to say about that.
There
I
was.
didn't get a
Can I just show you what I meant when I had his toast to the fire, and I was talking about this being probably an exact replica of how this would present itself in reality if we were just using Fermat's principle. Rumpus then decided to get. Hang on, what did he do? He got a shape, and he tried to put an Earth curve in like this, and I went, "What are you doing? So this is your image that you drew." You drew the observer looking at a lighthouse, and Fermat's principle will change the trajectory of light ever so slightly up and down, giving you this wavy effect here. So this is identical representation from a side-on view, but then he tried to put a globe in. He tried to block it off. And I went, what are you doing?
The other thing is there's 2 points here that's silly. One, if you look at the direction that he's got on the arrowheads, he's got all the light rays going out towards the lighthouse, but they actually should be going into the photographer. So basically what he's showing there is that the lighthouse is seeing the cameraman taking a picture of himself, not the cameraman taking a picture of the lighthouse.
Oh, yeah, those arrows should be this way, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they should be the other way. And the other thing is, because he's got them evenly spaced out across the length of the height of the lighthouse, it means that the way that the lighthouse would be presented in the real world would be proportionate and it wouldn't be distorted at all, because the path that the light ray takes doesn't influence where it hits the target. So based on what he's showing there, because he'd have to have them all to represent stretchy and distorty or whatever, he'd have to have the light rays randomly hitting the lighthouse at different points to demonstrate the effect that we see. But he's got the arrows facing the wrong way, and he's not showing them deviating from straight. He's showing them deviating from straight, but he's claiming that they're actually following a curved path across the flat surface of the thing, and he's hitting them all evenly across the lighthouse. It's just complete and utter nonsense.
Right, 10 points to who can tell me what type of vision this is.
Muppet vision, Muppet vision.
And why is it called Muppet vision? Why do we
Because
call it
you
that?
never see the side of your own head, Nathan.
Right, so you've got the observation on the right and the observation. Oh, Ranty.
Yeah, sorry.
You got the observation on the left and the observer on the right. So in this particular depiction, the guy and what he sees is absolutely nothing like what's on screen. We're 90 degrees side on to the observation and we're seeing the side of our own head. That's not how the world presents itself. But by doing so, along the line, along one of those lines, Ranty, you know, these wiggly lines, if you were to write the word a mile, the picture wouldn't change if you then added a few zeros onto it and made it 1,000 miles. The picture wouldn't change. And the height of the lighthouse is the same. So if that's 100 feet, for the sake of argument, and the guy's 6 feet, again, those values won't change if you change and put a few more zeros on the distance between them. You can say it's 1,000 miles, and you'll just have the same exact depiction, because it removes all aspects of perspective. So it doesn't matter how far you draw, or what number you assign to this wiggly line, it's always going to be a 100-foot lighthouse and a 6-foot man. In reality, if you push those zeros up to 1,000, and we're not seeing the side of our own head, we're seeing something getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller till it disappears. Well, they claim that effect, perspective, is it going behind an Earth curve, a physical obstruction that seems to pop up miles in the distance also, but that's a different issue. Thank you, Ranty. Thank you, Sleeping Warrior.
No worries. Has he joined? Join the panel?
No, there's a glitch in the matrix. We need someone to start moving it so he can join us.
Hello, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, Rumpus, I want to ask you a question. I want to know why, when Sleeping Warrior asks you what's another alternative, you couldn't say, well, okay, if I'm wrong, then it's flat. But you have to go into, well, then we're in the matrix and someone's messing with us. I want to know what made you say that.
Yes, his matrix is a flat one. So it doesn't matter that he calls flat reality matrix and claims that the matrix is a photograph and his model is reality. That's just his upside down world he lives in.
But what he was focusing on was, what he was saying was, this picture or this video does not represent reality. And I'm like, okay, so this is a video that's shot that you could watch, but that doesn't represent reality. So you'd rather go to, it's a simulation and what we're seeing is not reality? Yeah. This is how bad this argument has you guys?
No, that is the argument. No, that is the argument. If you are a fundamentalist religious zealot with a globe belief, you deny the evidence of your own eyes. That's not reality. That's essentially him diluting what I'm saying into his cognitive spew. Yeah, it's not reality. What that picture represents to me is the Matrix, because it doesn't match this computer simulation, which is reality. He's got it backwards. No, your model with your sliders isn't reality. It's not the atmosphere. It's based on your presupposition of an R value and an extraction of that into a computer simulation. That is, by definition, the Matrix. He's inside a little model in a computer, saying that's the world. And when that worldview of the Matrix doesn't match a picture, suddenly the picture's the Matrix. No, the picture's just showing the world's flat as it presents itself. Now that's so cognitively painful to him that he'd rather have a photograph become a computer simulation because it doesn't match his computer simulation, which is real according to him.
Just to be clear, he's in the chat saying, we don't know how ray tracing works. We don't know how ray tracing works. Well, this is his diagram that he's put together. And he has, like Sleeping Warrior quite rightly points out, the arrows in the wrong direction. The arrows should be going towards the camera, not facing that direction.
Right.
So
what's this? Sorry, just on my picture now. Where's the ray tracing on this picture? On my screen right now. Where's the ray tracing? Is that something we experience? Is that something we experience in the Matrix? Because this is the Matrix on screen now, isn't it? So we experience this ray tracing in the Matrix. Is that a yes or no to that question, first of all? Can anybody see ray tracing in this image that is claimed by Rumpus to be Matrix-like? Anybody see any rays, traced or otherwise?
Only rays I see is the sunlight.
No, that's not really.
No, it's not reality. This is just a diagram someone drew to push a point.
It's a simulated ray tracing in orthographic view. That's not real ray tracing.
I'm talking about my image of a sunset. Is that picture, which is claimed by Rumpus to be Matrix, does it have any ray tracing in it? It's a simple yes or no.
No,
that's an active process. This is just...
No, I just need a no. Bloody hellfire. Right.
No.
Now, hold on. Now we move on to Ranty's picture. Right? Now, is this akin to my reality or more akin to a computer simulation depicted on your screen?
Nah.
I know.
Not even that. No, it's not even that because it's still orthographic view. Actual ray tracing is a 3D perspective inclusive.
You don't understand my question, Arwin. Arwin, I'm trying to make a point, Arwin. Arwin, I'm trying to make a point. Hello? I'm trying to make a bloody point. So, all I'm trying to juxtapose my reality, the picture I showed, like this, is this like the Matrix? Answer, no. Is this like the Matrix? Or is this more like reality? Just yes or no to that question. The one on screen that Ranty's presenting. Is that more like the Matrix or more like actual reality?
More like the Matrix.
So when Rumpus has a picture presented to him and says, this is the Matrix because it doesn't match this, he's got it the wrong way round. This is the Matrix, his models of a sphere Earth. This is actual reality. No justification needed for what you see, only a set of eyeballs required.
And the other thing, of course, is that the way Rumpus depicts light assumes that light is behaving in a particular way. And as everybody in this topic knows, that light, nobody really knows what light actually is or really how it behaves. It's just a lot of assumptions. But one of the key assumptions is that it travels in straight lines, not curves. Remember that one.
Nathan, that was brilliant, tied to what you said earlier in that short paragraph. If you ask him where does he live, he's going to say 3620 Begging the Question Drive. They live in the model. They argue from the model. And it doesn't match the model.
Have you got more to add,
What
Ranty?
model?
Hold on, just 1 second, Chocolate. Have you got more to add, Ranty?
No. Sorry, I'll stop sharing. I was just doing this for my own benefit.
And by your own benefit, you mean the benefit of all of your wonderful subscribers over on Ranty Flat Earth channel.
That's the one, yeah. They get to see all this juicy stuff.
The other thing to point out respectfully, guys, is that when Rumpus was pushed for an equal, and because I said to Rumpus, I said, there's an equal and opposite interpretation that could be made here, isn't there? And everybody knows that the equal and opposite interpretation of what you're looking at is that there's no refraction and the Earth isn't a sphere. And if it is a sphere, it's miles bigger than what they tell us it is, because that's where the horizon is on their model. It's the leading edge of the sphere. And everybody knows that the equal and opposite interpretation is that the Earth might not actually be bending, the light might not be bending at all, and the Earth is actually not a sphere, it might actually be flat. And rather than admit that that's the equal and opposite interpretation, Rumpus started talking about simulations and matrices and all that nonsense, rather than say that, yeah, okay, this is an equivalence argument, because it can be seen both ways, and it is entirely governed by the way light behaves. But he wouldn't even concede it as the equal and opposite. And at the end of the day, if that's not PSYOP, I don't know what is.
Well, you're correct. However, Huey's wants a bit of blood from you on account of the fact that you can kill his side of the argument rather than give it to him as equivalence. I mean, don't get me wrong, you still won, and you got concessions left and right for whatever reason. But ultimately speaking, you can still kill their side of the argument with their the physicality of their sphere edge. Well, if you're arguing about refraction, you're arguing about the effects of light bending around this sphere edge, and it can't bend the physical sphere edge. But you're arguing with him about what he wants to keep you on. He led you to argue about light bending around the curve of the Earth. Well, yeah, okay, you can argue about that all day, and you won your points. But you could have, but didn't, kill him with the horizon itself. You can't have that loomed. You can't have that being bent around at 7/6R, because 7/6R is bending it around it. Do you see what I mean? But you never got to that point with him.
But what I want to point out is that yesterday marked two contrasting positions. Nathan's show was how you don't allow them to beg the question and shut it down before it even starts. Now, whether you agree or disagree with that particular style, whether you think Nathan was harsh or not, he's showing what happens when you don't allow them to beg the question. In equal and opposite contrast, Ranty wanted to allow and I wanted to beg the question too, because I sometimes like to beg the question because I know that there's limits to what they can argue. And that's why I wanted to beg the question, and I allowed that to be the case, but I had to do it on Ranty's because Ranty wanted to run the show. He wanted to demonstrate what happens when you beg the question, and that's the difference between the two shows. So Nathan wasn't allowing them to beg the question, and I thought the show that we had on Ranty's yesterday was what Nathan's show would have ended up being, but Nathan just decided yesterday that he didn't want to let Rumpus beg the question for whatever reason, and I'm cool with that. But it shows the stark difference between letting them beg the question and not letting them beg the question. And it depends on, just be aware that Nathan wasn't being funny. He was just not letting Rumpus beg the question yesterday. And kudos for demonstrating the contrast between the two positions, because it gives you the two examples of how it can go if you beg it and how it doesn't go when you don't let them.
Okay, well, I'm just... don't shoot the messenger here. I'm just putting across what you're going to get when QE does, if he joins today, give you as a response to what happened with Rumpus. And I'm not in this instance saying you can't beg the question. In fact, I'm giving you it with R assumed in my explanation of why QE is going to be gunning for you. So I'll just try again. If light is bending around a sphere, you see, I am begging the question, then it's bending around the sphere. And the horizon, the geometry for it, is part of the sphere that the light is bending around. So it's not the geometry of the sphere that's being bent 7/6R, and that geometry of the sphere is located at the edge, the horizon. So upon pointing this out, that the physical, geometrically measurable according to them edge that the light is bending around can't have light bend around it because it's the thing the light's bending around. So to get him on track, the horizon had to be the focus of the argument, but you allowed yourself to argue about the refraction of the light that's bending around it on the cranes. Well, he's got that covered in his model, but the horizon itself destroys the model because there's no response to it. It cannot happen, and upon pointing that out to him, it's the death of the argument, rather than, and this has been the case up until now, you say it's obviously and observably flat. He says light's bending around the curve of the Earth, the horizon, to make it look flat. But you didn't need to give him this either or choice, because we've now got the black swan argument. This point of geometry that you can't also bend if light's bending around it.
I understand, and 2 points in response. One, I'm not afraid of John. And two, I'm going to have to concede the point that he attacks me on, because it's called taking one for the team. Sometimes I like to beg the question because I like to know where it goes, and I'm all right with that. And if I get criticised for it, then I have to take the criticism. But on the other hand, sometimes I like to see Rumpus weasel and squirm his way around, arguing that straight means curved, because we all know that flat, straight, level does not mean curve. And that's what ultimately he gets back to. And he did it with Ranty a few weeks back. What was it, Ranty? Level is curved. Level is curved. When it gets to that level of stupidity, that's actually worth the audience seeing. So if it means I have to take a bollocking from John because I did what I did, then I'm all right with that, because the audience saw Rumpus looking like an absolute doofus.
Well, can I ask a question though? Isn't the basis of this argument begging the question, because isn't the first statement of the modus tollens, isn't it, if P, right? So if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then the horizon it has to be 1.225 times the square root of the observer height. But isn't that just begging the question, because we're giving them the radius from the jump?
That's correct. Exactly what I said at the beginning. I'm not saying you're not allowed to beg the question in this argument, but you've got to beg the question correctly, and that's essentially what QE is going to be saying to you. The point of the modus tollens argument is to put them in a position where they cannot address it with refraction. You can't loom the thing that light's being bent around. Therefore, the modus tollens proves unequivocally by its logical formation that the Earth is not a sphere. It cannot possibly be, and they cannot address this. But as soon as you veer off into the light that's bending around it in the form of the cranes, you're no longer on the modus tollens argument. You've suddenly got an equivalence that he can just stretch out light with. And that's where we were up until this argument came along. Now we've got a definitive death knell for the sphere model and their calculations, and this is it. That's why you'll get bollocked.
I've got a cunning plan, though, to respond to QE. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play dumb, I'm going to play ignorant, and I'm going to say that I don't understand the modus tollens argument, and I'm going to invite Brenda to argue it for me because I don't get it, and then watch QE attack her instead. Because actually, Brenda took credit for QE applying the modus tollens argument. She took credit because she, quote, he learned that from me. And I was like, oh, Brenda.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Can do.
Okay, well, just talk to him rather than roll out a GIMP. That's not going to be satisfactory. Just listen to his argument and try and formulate it in the correct manner, so that when you do beg the question, you have them absolutely pegged to the wall, rather than 3 hours of dancing around looking for alternative concessions when they cannot address this. So just hold them over a barrel with it.
I'd rather just pass him on to Brenda and let her do it for me.
We did get a concession from the Rumpus, though, throughout this back and forth. And he wanted to know how this image, the image that John's been putting around and Tony, could appear in reality. And he does it himself with Fermat's principle. And that's it. This side-on image, Nathan, okay, fair enough, where you've got your own head in the thing. But this is just a side-on diagram replicating this image.
Yeah, but to be fair, Ranty, it's probably in scale, because that lighthouse has definitely been reduced from 200 feet high down to a couple of pixels, right?
No. But when he conceded that this is, when I said to him, I said, you'll have to say that this image is an exact replication of what you would see on a flat plane just using Fermat's principle, he agreed. Game over. We didn't need any curve. We didn't need Earth curve. We didn't need 7/6R refraction. We just needed Fermat's principle and this observation. That was it on a flat plane. And he conceded.
Now the guy's video, BML, B69, whatever his name is. Now he's getting video. Now I'm getting videos recommended from him, and I just had one recommended the other day or yesterday, which was at 1 foot. He's seeing 31 miles, and I was just like, I mean, this is just now that we've got this argument in like firmly in our brains, like it's just nonsense to even think about. 31 miles you're seeing at a foot at the beach. And it's another video where you see him put the camera down on the ground.
I just want to point something out as well. In Ranty's chat, when I was with Rumpus back and forth, and we were begging the question and doing all the things that I shouldn't have been doing. Notice how many times I swore compared to Rumpus. Every other word out of his mouth was the twat word, and I wasn't swearing. But he's getting more and more agitated because I'm putting him in a position where he doesn't want to be, and the only thing he can do is resort to like insult. And I'm like, that demonstrates that you're losing. And I hope everybody in the audience noticed that too, because I deliberately try not to swear. All right, the odd one slips out here and there. I deliberately try not to swear. I try not to insult. I try and address everything that's put my way. And Rumpus can't do that. He just calls me silly names.
Quick shout out to Emma
You
UK,
know,
who sent me a
Anthony,
smiley face. Thank you very much, Emma UK, for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. She's also a YouTuber, so she does live streams with panels. So subscribe to Emma UK.
Elijah, you were saying something there?
Go
Yeah,
ahead, whoever I interrupted.
I
Sorry.
was going to say that's interesting that you point out this phenomenon where the bowlers get agitated at a point that they don't really want to address what you're asking them, because I went through the same thing last night, in my opinion. Just a little.
Yeah, they get cornered and they don't like it, and they start. I mean, Rumpus will start stuttering and stammering when he's getting cornered, and then he starts insults because he knows that he's got evidence that's not strong enough, and mine's stronger, or his point in fact is wrong, or his point in science is wrong. But either way, Rumpus starts stuttering and stammering and swearing, and that's when you're winning. And I just hope that the audience appreciate that I actively try not to swear.
Yeah, and thanks for coming on last night, Elijah. Elijah debated Zanuck on another debate after your one, Tony. So them two got into a bit of back and forth over Soundly's observations.
Soundly's observations prove Dick Earth.
Moon Earth, you mean?
Paper towel Earth.
Oh, hello. I've got the idiot panel. Jolly good. Number one, Anthony, that experiment you just talked about is just a polarization.
I was going to say, see what I mean about the insult straight away.
The path of light.
Finally.
There is a polarizing filter on the camera. The light path is not changing. You're a moron. You ray tracing thing, those arrows. You don't understand how ray tracing works. The way you model lights in a ray tracer is you think of light emerging from the observer and then finding out where it goes. The fact you think it's reverse, it's a ray trace model, you're a moron. You don't understand any of this.
Just local mute the Rumpus.
You just don't understand
Say that
anything
again,
about what you're
Rumpus?
talking. You are science deniers and you don't understand anything, and you are morons. And that's why I get frustrated with you, because you're so stupid. I have to fill in all the work that your teachers missed out in your teenage years. And it's quite demanding for me to have to lead you through something an 11-year-old should know, up to something a 15-year-old should know.
Listen
and the
to
fact
this
that
moron.
I have to fill in the education you missed is quite frustrating. And the fact that you're so illogical. I have to explain logic to you. You didn't understand how mixed West argument works, for instance. You rely on the standard atmospheric model.
Is this pre-recorded?
Doesn't require any information in that about the 76. You use that as a premise. I mean, you don't know how to reason. You don't know how to understand logic. You don't understand science. You don't understand reality. It's just amazing what educational gaps I'm having to fill in for you.
I'll just point out that it's had, hold on, guys, hold on. Hello. Just a couple of things to point out. It's had several minutes. We've discussed the argument in length. I've even not tore a strip off Anthony, but made it clear what the argument was. And he's just come in and given us a string of ad homs. So shout out to WTBOFNC, who's just joined as a member as a lion. So thank you very much indeed. And also Agent Dubsky, who's also joined as a member as a penguin. So thank you very much indeed to both of you for joining as the latest Nathan Oakley 1980 channel members. Now, if you are watching this on Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley channel, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in, smashed the super chat, joined as a member, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
One foot observation, how far should it be? And ask him that before we go any further.
The only actually coherent point I heard him make was about the ray tracing, that I'd got it the wrong way around. Well, I've got it on screen. The incoming ray is denoting the direction that the light traveling. It's not the opposite way around like he claims, according to Wikipedia anyway.
You don't understand how ray tracing works. You're an idiot.
On screen, Rumpus. Perhaps you could explain how I've got it wrong.
Oh,
Well,
thank
what
God
are you
for that. I
saying?
didn't. Hi guys, just a quickie because
trying to show
I'm still at
diagram?
work, but I've had to join because there's no way I'm missing Rumpus again because this will be funny, mate. So crack on, Rumpus. Let's hear it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll have to fill in I'll have to fill in obviously years of education you've missed, but then there we go. I'm used to that with ranting and Riley.
You, Rumpus, if we're going to
So
put
let
our
me
guns
so
on
I
the
said
table.
again about the
You're
polarizing
retard.
experiment.
Yeah, but
you
you're
showed, Anthony.
academically, you're the one that's inferior if me and you are talking, aren't we, Rumpus?
And he is with me as well.
I didn't hear.
Oh yeah,
You're crackly. I didn't hear you.
No, probably good for your ego that you didn't.
I didn't.
I'll repeat it. That he said that you're, in terms of education, inferior to both Adam and Anthony, Rumpus.
Absolutely not. I went to a decent university. I think Anthony went to one for bloody football or something.
Do you teach postgraduate level, Rumpus? Do you teach?
Well, I can if you are wherever you
Or
are.
do
If you're
you
doing
clean
that,
up
then
for
what do you
people
teach
with
them in
degrees?
football studies or something? Because you've demonstrated you don't understand basic maths. I mean, your calculation of, for instance,
Well, I
how
do,
planes should dip, how a plane should dip to go around the Earth, and you think you don't even understand do you understand what centripetal acceleration is, for instance? Could you work out the
Do you
maths for
understand
that?
that wasn't a calculation?
Your
Rumpus?
arrogance,
You're not
Rumpus,
too
is
good at.
astonishing.
Do you understand how to work out centripetal acceleration? I don't know why you're cracking up.
Do you, Rumpus? Would
So,
you be
yes,
able
of course
to
I
teach
do. I
it?
know
Would
all
a
these sorts of things.
university, a higher educational institute, allow you to teach centripetal to somebody? I'd probably say no. I know they'd let me.
To teach what centripetal? Well, I don't know. You're very quiet. I don't know
And guess what, Rumpus? He'd let me as well.
It's just he's
You're not
pointing out.
qualified, are you, pal?
He's pointing out that he's qualified
Yes,
to
I am.
teach that, and you're not, Rumpus. He's actually qualified to
What's he
do that. You're
qualified
not.
to do? What does he claim to be qualified to do?
Well,
I'm
his point
actually
is that you have an
postgraduate
undergrad,
bond.
and me and Adam both hold postgrads.
Yeah. I actually
Yes, but in
train
stupid
those that have
subjects.
already done
I
their
mean,
degrees
Anthony,
and more than full qualification.
I'll just start on Anthony's first.
Like
Anthony, you've
a
demonstrated with
degree
the quality
course,
of that
I'm
thesis you
also
presented.
useful for
You don't
the
have a.
development of the international program, Rumpus.
I'll come back to you.
Now, let's all join in for the
But what do you
fucking.
do?
I'll come back to
Don't
you.
you wash glassware in a lab, Rumpus? Isn't that what
Adam.
you do?
So hold on,
And then
Adam.
you
I'll come back to you.
do
You're cracking up. I don't know whether it's you or me.
You should keep talking.
Because
you never shut
Anthony,
up, Rumpus.
the thesis.
Because you never shut up. Do you want to solve the crackling problem? Do you want to solve the crackling problem you've just highlighted or not? It's because you never
go on,
shut
is
up.
that you or me?
Like now, is there a crackling now while you talk and I talk? I would suspect so. So
Well, okay,
I'm just going to point
well,
out that
it's
every
an
time you
answer.
do it, like now, you are fundamentally retarded. The crackling is caused
No,
by
you're
you
retarded.
talking
You're stupid.
like you're doing now, and it's
Adam was
causing you to not
overtalking
be
me.
able to hear what's being said because your brain
Adam was
doesn't
overtalking
manage
me.
to process hearing
Well, anyway,
and
you're
talking
not- yeah,
at the
Adam, yeah,
same time.
yeah, okay, shut.
So I'll just say for the audience, because he can't comprehend it, because I'm trying to point out why he's crackling. It's because he's retarded and doesn't know how to shut up. So we're dealing with people with mental problems. People stupid, like Rumpus. Inferior, both educationally and cognitively, to everyone else on the panel.
I think Anthony's demonstrated his intellectual capabilities with his MSc and the fact he doesn't understand basics. He doesn't understand that experiment, for instance,
Okay,
with just about
fine.
polarization.
No worries.
and not
I'm
changing
sick of the
the
pissing competition.
And
Yeah,
Adam,
okay, just let's get
Adam
some
doesn't
order for
have
a
any
second.
basic
His
understanding
audio
of
is
maths.
cutting everyone out.
Yeah,
Adam
Rumpus,
doesn't
let's
have
get
any
some
basic
order for a
understanding of
second if you
maths,
don't mind.
demonstrated by not
Rumpus,
understanding of how plane
Rumpus,
works.
I will assume you just want to waste time if you don't let me ask a question.
Okay, go on then.
This horizon.
Ask a question.
Yeah. The light's physically bending around a sphere in your model, not the physical edge itself. So how do you explain, given that your sphere model has a physical edge at 1.5 miles, why there's a physical edge, according to your model, way off 10 miles in the distance?
Because the physical edge you're talking about is just geometric. That ignores the fact we have an atmosphere. Do you not understand we have an atmosphere that refracts?
The atmosphere isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the edge, the physical edge.
Yes, but the edge is a visual
very
edge,
loud.
which is caused by the
You're getting very loud and distorted. Are you causing distortion? Is it because this is angering you? Is it because you're angering you that you're getting very loud and distorted? Getting very loud and distorted. Can't control your mic. You're stupid.
On the moon, the argument would work. But we live in an atmosphere.
Let's just shut him up. We're not on the moon. So immediately, he segued away from the question about the horizon and moved off to the moon and geometry of the moon. So we're talking about a physical location you're claiming light's bending around?
We're just talking about the horizon. Right, here we go again. You're talking about a geometric horizon that would occur without the atmosphere. The atmosphere bends light. Therefore, the horizon appears in a different place. It's really, really, really simple. How can you not understand this?
No, I'm not talking about a geometric edge. You are.
Yes, you are. You keep on saying it's 1.22 miles.
Sorry, Rumpus. I got a few words in. I gave you time to talk. You seem to be just launching into ad homs rather than letting me address what you said.
Because you're stupid and you're not listening.
So you're intolerable.
I've explained to you 5 times now.
You haven't explained anything 5 times. I'm rebutting what you've just said, but you're incapable of communication. It's just talking constantly through me. And no, that's
I've explained to you again. The atmosphere bends light.
I haven't made my point. I've said no, and you've just carried on talking. You're intolerable. I'll try again. Let's see if he talks immediately through me. He does, because he can't bear this point to be made.
Go on, make it.
I don't need your permission. I need you to shut up, but you've got Tourette's, like the guy yesterday, M. Stone. When I talk, it's very, like now, it's very painful for him, because he knows that everything I say will debunk his model. So it's very cognitively painful for them. So when I talk, they say, go on. I start talking and he talks through me. Later, he will claim I'm censoring him while he talks through me, because they project their own nonsense onto us, like him saying that his model is reality and pictures of the Matrix. They're fundamentally upside down. And when he says go on and gives me permission to talk, he doesn't allow me to. But he'll later, as I say, claim that he's being censored. So no, Rumpus. I'm not claiming a physical edge. You are claiming a physical edge. That's not what I am claiming.
A visual edge. A visual edge, isn't it?
No, physical. He's also deaf and stupid, along with retarded and upside down mentally. No, your geometry that you're referring to. The geometry is measured by way of the physical edge of your... I'm speaking slower and he's still got Tourette's. Why are you censoring me? Why are you censoring me?
I'm helping you.
Why are you censoring me? Why are you censoring me? Why are you censoring me? Are you censoring the truth? Is it because the reality, which you claim to be the Matrix, needs censorship? Is that why you're talking through me while I make my point?
You've made your point. I understand it.
I haven't made my point. You've censored my point by non-stop talking through it. The zealot wants to censor the truth. Are you doing it now? He's censoring the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Why are you censoring me? Why are you censoring me?
Well, because you're an idiot.
You've misrepresented my argument. You've said I've got a physical edge, which I haven't. You have. It's going to be measured geometrically. Now that which is being measured as a physical geometric edge also has things beyond it being light bent around this edge. And I'm asking about how that... He's censoring the truth again. The point's not allowed to be made because he's a zealot. He's got to censor this point. That your geometric edge is beyond where it can physically be.
Light bends around that horizon, that physical...
No, we're not talking about the light that bends around the horizon. That little shit trick that you used on Sleeping Warrior won't work on me. Not the light that's bending around the edge itself, that is not physically capable of being beyond 1.3 miles.
You don't see anything except light, Nathan. You can't see the geometric horizon, because the only thing you can see is...
Can't see it? Yeah, I can. It's 10 miles off in the distance. I'm not blind. I've got eyeballs. Don't tell me what I can't see when I absolutely can see it?
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. I've got a set of eyeballs. Ranty, please can you put the image on screen so I can point out to this religious zealot that I can see it, I do have eyeballs, and his denial of the evidence of his own eyes isn't going to wash.
And the way you see things, Nathan, is...
Don't tell me how I perceive things. I've got a set of eyeballs, and you do not need to tell me how I perceive things. You complete retard.
Let me finish a sentence. Let me finish...
No. You want to segue away from the point. Now, very quickly and concisely, we've done away with all your ad homs. We've done away with you telling me that I've got a physical edge, and we're on to the point in hand. Now, your rebuttal to the point in hand is that I can't see your claim to be physical geometric edge, and I absolutely guarantee you that I can see it, and so can the audience. So I'd like you to tell us again how we can't see it when it's there on screen, and you merely believe that it's the Matrix.
Shut your blowhole, Rumpus.
Thank God.
What,
Thank
what
you
you
for
muted
fucking using the funny mute button on that.
Yeah, right. Was he censoring me from Discord? Is that what he was doing? Oh, it seems that when you're a religious zealot and you're losing, your tactic is to censor the truth from the audience and then project that censorship onto your opponent who's pummeling you based on a claim to be geometric edge, which in this instance is over 10 miles in the distance, and his only rebuttal is to say, I can't see it. No, you're wrong, Rumpus. Your zealotry's getting the better of you. Is your only defence to say that I should also deny the evidence of my own eyes? No, sphere-believing zealot. I do see the horizon, and so does the audience. Your only rebuttal to this very damaging point, that your physical edge is way off in the distance, is to say we can't see it. Well, we can, you fundy moron.
You're a moron. We do not see the geometric horizon, we see light.
Yeah, we do. Your claim to be geometric edge in this instance is way off in the distance, and that proves unequivocally that it's not a physical geometric edge, because if it was, it would be at the distance of 1.3 miles, because that's where it's supposed to physically be. It's just not physically there, so it's not physical. It's not an edge. We don't live on a globe.
It's very simple, Nathan. I'll explain it to you. What we use our eyeballs for is...
That's not explaining, that's asking me what I use my eyeballs for. I see with my eyes, I see what you think is a physical edge, and it's not where it's supposed to be. It can't physically be there, because it's not obscuring things you think are being bent around it.
Mirages, Nathan.
Are you censoring the truth again? Sorry, I just got to ask Discord. Is he censoring the truth from Discord? Is he censoring the truth from Discord again?
Yes. I put him on mute.
Let me ask him, why are you censoring the truth from my audience, Rumpus? Unmute him. Why are you censoring the truth from my audience, Rumpus?
Seconds. You allow me 5 seconds to answer. Then
I'm asking you why you're censoring the truth by talking through me when I'm pointing out.
Why are you censoring my answers? Why don't you?
I'm not censoring your answers. I'm pointing out that we've got a claim to be physical edge and it's miles off in the distance. The physical edge isn't looming. It's supposed to have stuff looming around it if you bend light around it. But the physical geometric edge is way off in the distance, disproving its physicality.
Here's the answer to
You're still censoring the truth. Is he still censoring it? So he is.
Rumpus, shut up.
He's still... Oh, yeah, you don't need to tell him. I'll just tell my audience again. Yesterday he told me I was censoring him. No, this is devastating for a globe believer because there's no answer to it, and his only defense is to say, A, I don't see the horizon, and when I point out that's nonsense and put it on screen, he then tries to censor the truth from the audience so that you, the audience, don't appreciate the devastating reality. Devastating if you're a globe head, because this proves unequivocally that we don't have a physical edge that's got geometry. It's a not actual location, as demonstrated by what's on screen, and he says he can't see.
The answer is our eyeballs only pick up light. Light does not travel in straight lines, and so therefore the geometric mass that you and QE use is completely and utterly wrong. Light
Use
is
my
bent.
name.
Sorry?
Use my name again.
You're a moron. You don't understand.
Get just out of here. I'm gonna put all this to rest Tuesday. For all time's sake. It's gonna be over. The death of the spinning space monkey religion and retards like Rumpus. You died in 2015 when I first come out here. Drug you around by your short hairs. Mr. Air is not the atmosphere and the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the earth. You need to be horse tranquilized, then shackled, then straitjacketed, then forced lobotomized. I don't even think that would help. Clown. I'm tired of your mouth, too. We can't hear a thing in this hangout.
Yes, because he needs to censor the devastating points from the audience, while simultaneously telling everybody that I'm censoring him from his babble and nonsense that distracts from the point, ad homs us, and claims he has a higher level education than other people on the panel, therefore needs to educate them when they're qualified to educate him.
Yeah.
Higher education? He couldn't put his shirt on without a fleet of slobber nurses. He's an abject moron. Second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the earth. Unbelievable.
I just find it astonishing.
I couldn't make this shit up. And clowns. Crayon munching clowns. Every last one of you. That's all right. Just wait till Tuesday. Tuesday at 1 p.m. U.S. Central, 7 p.m. UK. Pay close attention because the dagger is going right through your heart. That's all you spinning ball-tard clowns. I'm going to break it down so far, Elmer Fudd's going to start laughing at you. Over.
Adam Meakin, are you there?
I'm eating my cake dinner, sorry.
Would you kindly send me the crunch file that you want me to synchronize on Skype?
I mean, John, I can't do it. I can do it when I get in, but John should have it. For the crunch.
I don't have the crunch part, Adam. You've got it.
Ooh.
Oh no, the crunch is just the original crunch. So you just want the original clip. That's all you did last time, was take it from the previous original clip. So
well, you gave me the crunch last time. Do you want me to just?
It must be in the file
earlier on in the clip.
Yeah, just put it in. Yeah, just put it. Well, if I've sent it you, it must be in there. I can just send it you again, can't I?
You have sent it to me, but when I go back to the file, it says it's no longer available because it must have time lapsed.
And on these boring administrative notes, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!